I know what you was thinking. Do you know that we're making loads of liquid fertilizer every day? And do you know what we do with it? Flush it down the john. Now you might be thinking, oh, that's gross, Greenthumb. Well, hear me out. And then after the video, you can decide whether you still think it's gross. And if you do, let me know in the comments. Welcome back to Greenthumbs Garden and another video. My name's Alex, and if this is your first time here and you love gardening videos, horticulture, DIY and self-sufficiency, then make sure you hit that subscribe button, hit that bell notification so you don't miss a single thing. Using our own urine as a fertilizer is firstly a brilliant way to support our environment by protecting our local waterways from harmful pollutants. Our waste contains a lot of nitrogen, which inevitably, when we flush, even after passing through water treatment centres, that nitrogen and phosphorus inevitably make it to our natural waterways, which it can off-balance ecosystems, cause excessive plant growth and harmful algae blooms, which ultimately die, rot and decompose, robbing the water system of oxygen, creating a lifeless, smelly testimonial to mankind's mismanagement of this planet. Second, you're going to save money if helping the environment isn't enough to convince you already to change some habits. Fertilizers are not cheap, and every time you flush your john, it's costing you. Save that water bill and take a whiz into your watering can. Here's some facts that you'll find interesting. The average tinkle contains 5 grams of nitrogen, 1 gram of phosphorus and 2 grams potassium per litre, which makes a pretty well-balanced fertilizer, similar to a typical 512 NPK feed. Not only that, but your homemade liquid gold also contains sulfur, magnesium and calcium, which also benefits your plants. Now, these are some really loose measurements. Not all peas are created equal. Things like diet, your time of day are all going to affect the quality and grade of your leakage. It can also be used to boost nitrogen poor compost. That's compost that's made up of mainly leaf litter, straw and paper, and it'll also act as a compost accelerant and activator to speed up your composting. So let's talk about how you can safely use urine in your garden to boost plant growth, and a few things that you need to be aware of. 2 simple methods for using urine as a fertilizer are, well, simply you can pee into your watering can and then water that amber extract down by 8 to 10 parts. For instance, if you've got 1 litre of pee, you want to be adding 8 to 10 litres worth of water to that golden juice, and then water your plants freely with it that you see need a good feeding. Another method is, if you've got a good layer of mulch around your garden, you could just pee directly onto that mulch or water undiluted, unadulterated pea juice onto that mulch directly without dilution, and the mulch will protect your roots from overly concentrated dosage, and the microbes and microorganisms in that mulch will break down your urine and feed it to your plants. It couldn't be any easier. Now, there's a few things that you need to be aware of. Urine contains varying degrees of salt depending on your diet. Not partial to them salty snacks, are we? Munching on salty Mr. Peanut, your pea will contain a lot higher salt concentrate. So you don't want to be using this as a foliar feed, otherwise the salt residue that ends up drying on the leaves could cause damage and leaf burn. You also want to be careful with plants that are sensitive to high salt concentrations. For instance, most fruit trees like citrus, stone fruit like peaches and cherries. You saw what happened to our cherry seedlings, and we lost a few of them due to the high salinity from the well water in our old location. You also don't want to be watering with urine if you've got avocados. Avocados are extremely sensitive to salt. You also want to give it a miss with your potatoes and onions. don't bother watering with urine at all with these crops. Salts are pretty mobile in the soil and will easily wash away. So for potted plants, to avoid high salt concentrations, make sure you water deeply and allow a few drops of water to drip out of the bottom. That way you'll avoid an accumulation of salts in your media. You also want to be careful using urine as a fertilizer if you are on medications or hormones. So if you're in doubt, well, leave it out. Otherwise, you could use your waste to water ornamental plants that you're not going to be eating. And last up, you don't want to be using this liquid gold on root crops like potatoes, carrots, parsnips. I think you get the idea why. Do you get it? You know what I'm talking about, don't you? Unless you like your root vegetables marinated in your own pee, well, go right ahead. If you do choose to use your own pee to water your vegetable gardens and you're not grossed out by the fact, if you are grossed out, let us know in the comments. Stick to leaf vegetables and above ground crops and make sure you stop feeding at least 1 month before harvest. Choose plants that need a lot of nitrogen like tomatoes, cucumbers, squash, corn and other plants that might need a boost. Plants that are showing signs of nitrogen deficiency like stunted growth, pale yellowing leaves will benefit from a good dosage of urine fertilizer. Urine is generally thought of as being sterile, and the health risks associated with using pee to fertilize your crops are pretty low, as it doesn't contain pathogens like your poop does. Even though, if you want to reduce the risks even further, you can store your urine in an airtight container for several months. During that time, the urea content will convert to ammonia, and those high ammonia levels will kill any bacteria present. So to finish, like all fertilizers, we want to use our pee in moderation. Remember that this is a liquid feed and it shouldn't replace a good fertility routine. We still want to be adding rich organic matter to our soil like worm castings, compost and a good mulching routine, which will help enrich our soil with organic matter and make our soil more biodiverse. If you want a step-by-step guide on how you can make your own banana peel liquid fertilizer that's rich in potassium, then click on the video that's going to be popping up shortly just on your right. If you want to support the channel and its continued growth, then make sure you share this video or a video like it with your friends, and hit that subscribe button, hit that like button as well, so you let YouTube know this is quality content. Also, channel memberships are coming for those people who are interested in that avenue and the various perks that will come with it. Guys, thanks for watching and I'll see you in the future.